How are you doing? Good? Good morning? How's the Josh? Could it be higher? We're talking about generative AI, so let me do it again. How are we doing? How's the Josh? Awesome, great. Well, it's truly a pleasure to be here, to be speaking to this wonderful audience. I absolutely enjoyed listening to the previous panelists, and Purnima was really great, and the kind of questions the audiences were asking. Super excited to be talking about the next segment, and I hope the Josh continues to remain high. A few weeks ago, I was in Hyderabad in a conference room sitting with one of my clients, and we were talking about the iPhone moment of our times, the recent iPhone moment. Any guesses about what I'm talking about? Any guesses? ChatGPT, generative AI, right? So there I was sitting with the VP of IT for this global GCC, and the key topic we were discussing were about generative AI and its implications, the iPhone moment, if you will, and what impact it has. Now, in the mind of my client, he was doing all the right things. You know, he had talked with the top leaders about impact of generative AI. He had bought a few licenses to enable his people to learn about it, and he'd also done some sort of a hackathon to get engaged. And yet, he was puzzled as to, have I struck gold? Is my organization truly reaping the benefits and the potential of generative AI? And he wasn't very sure, right? And he was even more perplexed when I said, you need to invest in education. You need to invest in education, right? So in my conversation with you today, I'd like to unravel this mystery and why I'm recommending invest in education when you truly want to look at the impact of generative AI. Let's talk about the impact Gen AI could have on work, the workforce, and worker itself. Like she introduced, my name is Harsha Almad. I lead the Global AI Academy at Accenture, and it's my privilege to work with super smart colleagues from Accenture to bring the best of data and AI capabilities to our people, our clients, and our ecosystem. Now, many of us must have seen these headlines over the last 18 months, ever since ChatGPT came to life, you know, and we are very much aware about what good looks like when it comes to generative AI. There are many examples I'm sure you're aware of. In our research at Accenture, what stood out was two things that are very critical. Number one, the role of leaders. Each one of us, the role we play in terms of making sure we are learning about it, we are listening to unlock the true potential, and also being mindful about the risks that it brings to life. So that's one. The second thing is about being mindful in terms of how do we unlock the end-to-end value proposition. Let's stop pocket experimentations or kitchen experimentations and move to unlocking the best potential. Only then are you able to truly reinvent your organization. And as we do all this, we are caught up in the quandary of whether it's a hype versus a reality, right? When you invest in these capabilities, only then you find out. So as I speak further, I'd like to be entrenched deeply in our experiences that we've Accenture has had and what we have learned in our process. Each year, Accenture, as many of the other organizations, participates at Davos at the World Economic Forum. And this year, when we went to Davos, we were very clear. We rehashed our agenda to say we are going to be very factual and evidence-based. And hence, when we went this year, we anchored all our conversations based on the 700 plus projects that Accenture has delivered on generative AI. We wanted to meet with our C-suite leaders, our ecosystem partners, educations, and the overall ecosystem to talk about what we have learned from a generative AI perspective across industries, across geographies, etc. Right, so I want to talk about evidence-based, what's our learning been like. I also would want to talk about Accenture itself, an organization of 745,000 people globally. We ourselves are leveraging generative AI to transform our business. And as we do that, I'd love to talk about how have we seen the shift in the work itself, the workforce for our organization, and overall the ecosystem, right? So rooted in all these learning experiences, We spoke with these top leaders on these 5 topics which have been highlighted here. Right. These are the 5 must-dos that all leaders should care about, you should care about. It starts with number 1 in terms of anchoring yourself to lead with value. You need to move away from looking at pockets of silos and looking at end-to-end process transformation, end-to-end value generation for your organization. Only then are you able to move forward. Step number 2, you need to make sure that you're investing in technology, right, which is continuously reinventing and is able to work on its own, right? It's not just for one technology or new topic, if you will, like generative AI. For the new technologies that will come as well, you need to make sure that your digital core is strong, solid, and secure. So that's the number 2 step that C-suite should care about. Number 3, which is very close to my heart, which is how do you invest in talent and ways of working? Almost rewiring your brain to make sure that your workforce is ready for not just generative AI, but the new technologies and capabilities that are yet to come. Super important, right? And I cannot emphasize on how many clients do we speak about talent being as the, one of the key barriers, if you will, in terms of achieving that goal. Number 4, responsible AI. We strongly believe that you cannot look at generative AI by missing responsible AI, right? In fact, we find that there is a lot of work to be done in that space. Close to 96% of the organizations that we have surveyed in preparation for Davos, we found that they do some work related to responsible AI, but only 2% of the organizations have formally launched either a program or an office to directly address this. This is a topic of super importance, especially if you're working, for example, in the European Union, right? This is one of the most critical topics which our clients are grappling with. So responsible AI and anchoring yourself in it is super important. And last but not the least, become an organization of continuous reinvention. You have to invest in change management. You have to shift behaviors and mindsets and become an organization which continuously keeps evolving, such that even though the technology changes, you're evolving yourself and preparing yourself for the future. So these were the 5 must-haves that we've discussed with our clients, and we are seeing a lot of transformation across industries, right, in terms of how they capture value with generative AI. Now, I'd like to zoom in into the key topic for my talk here, which is how do you enhance or embrace the power of workforce, and workers? How do you prepare them? Let me start by talking first about what we mean by reinventing work itself. What we have found that with generative AI, one of the things we need to do is we need to look at work from end-to-end perspective, right, across the entire process flow, if you will, the spectrum. For example, if you're working in the customer service department, the customer rep perhaps is doing A, B, C, D, but with the power of generative AI, she must be doing A, B, D. These steps, if you're deliberate, with that you're able to provide better customer satisfaction, better value generation capabilities, and an enhanced experience for your workforce. You could shoo away some of the mundane tasks, really focusing on the problems that you and your clients care about. Tremendous value. Right, so that's super important. So rethinking of how you can reinvent work. Next step is how do you reshape your workforce? And what we have found over there is that the interaction between the human, computer, and the partner is going to go into like a swirl, a continuous swirl, right? With new technologies coming in, new partnerships coming in, you have to prepare the ecosystem for it. And 2 things become very critical in that, the role and the skills. So we need to deliberately as organizations prepare for the right role, right? Enhance them with the new age topics around generative AI and ensure that you're listing the right skills within your organization. For example, in Accenture itself, for all our roles, all our people, we've taken a very deep focus to say, the folks who are sitting in the digital core, how do you build those new age skills in them? And then people who are sitting around it, how are they able to reap the benefits and be fluent in generative AI, as an example. Investing in a skill architecture is super critical. Let's now talk about the role of how do you prepare the worker, all of us, right? And there are 2 critical topics. Number 1 is learning, and second one is through trust. Our research has shown that while 95% of the workers, many of us sitting in the room, are excited to learn about these topics, only 5% of the organizations are systematically investing in topics. They might take 1 or 2 courses here and there, but systematic learning with pathways which uplift your skill is still missing. The second element is trust. In our research, we found that a lot of people working in the organization, they don't trust that generative AI will actually bring that impact. So the role of the leader becomes very critical to make sure that you're able to show the end-to-end value, inspire your organization towards this reinvention, and help bridge this gap. In preparation for Davos, we have published this paper around work, workforce, and worker. I invite you all to take a look at it. But the key findings that we found that should you use the power of generative AI, it can have transformational impact across industries, bringing an uplift in revenue of up to 10%, right? Starting at 10%, sorry. We found that there are certain industries such as banking, insurance, CPG or consumer goods, and software platforms which automatically lend themselves to this, to the power of generative AI. That's because you're thinking beyond just customer service. You're thinking about efficiency gain. How do you delight your customers? So there's a lot of work to be done by all of us to embrace this power of generative AI. And it starts with us as leaders. So let me really quickly cover and talk about how is Accenture looking at generative AI. I'm sure many of us, you are curious about it. So in June of last year, our CEO, Julie Sweet, she made a public commitment, announcement rather, that Accenture is going to invest heavily in building its data and AI skills, taking a workforce from about 40,000 to 80,000 people and becoming an AI-first organization internally. As part of that, we have deeply looked at all the roles, skills taxonomy. We have invested heavily in making sure that there are role-based learning pathways, providing the right incentives and opportunities. We've invested in making learning so core to our DNA so that we are bringing the best for our people and our clients. And this is super critical that we take a look at it. Right? In terms of how we look at it, our clients, we are very proud to have recently announced the Reinvented, which is our learning capabilities for our clients, through which we bring a lot of innovation through our AI-powered platform. We provide assessments to tell you currently where are you in your learning journey, what's your future state. We bring in certifications from programs with Stanford, Berkeley, etc., to make sure you're able to uplift your skills with the right pathways. We bring in experiences through behavior coaches, so you're prepared and enabled for the transformation, right? And yet make sure that you're not taking it as a stop, but continuously learning. Continuous learning is super critical, and that is one opportunity that we all must embrace in today's time. I guess in parting, I'd like to come back to the dilemma my client was facing, which is why education? The best investment, they say, you can make is in yourself. And that's the best way to prepare yourself for facing the future. I invite all of us to join me in this journey towards making education a key mission for yourself and also your workforce, because that will unlock the true potential of technologies such as generative AI. Thank you for your time and for being a wonderful audience.